which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you would please, your cell phone silence them, turn them off so they don't disrupt the meeting, please. And Christopher, we have roll call, please.
Heidi Larson?
Yes.
Gary Kepley?
Here.
Ashley Overton? Here. Susan Braun?
Here.
John Hedges? Erica Weaver? Here. Michelle Skidmore?
Okay, 1.2, we need to appoint a secretary pro tem. Do I have any?
I nominate Ashley Overton.
I second.
Any discussion? Your roll call?
Larson?
Yes.
Kepley?
Yes.
Overton? Yes. Braun?
Yes.
Weaver? Yes.
Okay, number 2, reception of visitors. 2.1, agenda visitors. 2.1A, we have presentation of Skills USA State Leadership and Skills Conference Awards to MHS students. Ms. Laura Roberts, the Wave Skills sponsor. You have the floor.
Thank you. I have a presentation to show you. So in April, we went to the Peoria Civic Center for the State Leadership and Skills Conference. It was April 28th through the 30th, or 29th, sorry. And the students presented. We had 2 students representing Mattoon, and they did an excellent job of representing. We had Shayla Carter and Hannah White. They did creative photography, in which they had to take 4 photos. They had to take a portrait, a commercial, a landscape, and a human interest photo. They had to print the photos out, put them on poster board, and then they had to present it to the judges. They did an excellent job. They were supposed to be tonight, and I was going to give them awards. Hannah got 5th place in the creative photography, and Shayla got 6th place, which was awesome. And then Hannah also participated and did the t-shirt design, where she designed an Illinois shirt to represent the state of Illinois that someone from Skills USA might want to wear. So she had to do the brainstorming, come up with the design, come up with the concept, do the thumbnail sketches, do the design thinking. She had to do a feedback form, find out if students would be interested in it, and then design the shirt and put it on a trifold display. And she also got 6th place in that. So she did an excellent job. And then on Friday, we got a surprise that we didn't know. Every single Skills USA member was invited to go see the Peoria Chiefs play, and they surprised me as a winner of the Advisor of the Year in 2020, and they did the 2021 Advisor of the Year and the 2022 Advisor of the Year. We each received a commemorative jersey with our year that we got the award. And then we threw out the first pitch. I don't have video. No. You know, somebody has video somewhere. And they go, well, ladies first. I'm like, oh, thank you. And so I actually did get it up the plate, surprisingly enough. He didn't even have, all he had to do was like stand a little bit to get it, so not too bad. The other guy rolled it, and the 3rd guy got a strike. I was like, okay, we're professional. But it was really awesome. All the students that went there, they got a $5 certificate to buy. I mean, it was free for all Skills USA members and advisors and staff. And they got a $5 coupon to buy popcorn, drinks, hot dogs, whatever they wanted to get at the game. Some people got a souvenir finger, you know, like, okay, you know, like those foam things.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome. They did do a great job representing Mattoon, and these are the different competitions. The one highlighted in yellow, you'd probably be able to see it a little better if you saw it on your screen. Those are the ones we currently have, but with the lift station, I'm sure that's going to grow on what they can compete in. And so they've done, which was kind of cool, the students got to see this on closing ceremonies. This was a recap of the whole competition, and they actually have audio video people there, students that are competing in it. And so this is a video of the competitions, so let you know what else is out there.
I'm tired of the back. Get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of this. Then I get in on the internet and checking the news. Let me get up. First up, drop walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of conscious. Somewhere between my pocket, guys, we still again. But y'all can't be bad. Moonwalk, because this here is our party. My classes been on the wrong way. And we did it always. Flow music. I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on that stage light. Going shine up down. Got that bomb bunker suit game and clicker with my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. When I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, I'm the INDEPENDENT hustler. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the front trap busting. Break across that city with the back crush it. Labels out here, and they can't tell me nothing. We give out to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country. Here we go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Can I get thank you? Yeah, I'm so grateful. I grew up really wanna go nuts, but that's what's paid by Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me. Go hard like I got it in my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like I give a little yips to a great white shark, we bar. I wanna go bar, gone. This is goodbye. I got the world to see. My girl, she don't see wrong. See so many people believe in that. And if everything went wrong, and the legend comes to giving it back to the people now. Sing this song and it goes like, raise those hands, this is our party. We came here to live life. Nobody was watching. I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. Look on that failure and humility. And then we keep watching. I say, this is a moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
I think the thing that's really neat about the Skills USA program is that it's actually hands-on. It's not just a book or a textbook. It's actually real hands-on skills. For example, with the healthcare portion, we're practicing IV starts, doing CPR, doing vitals. We're actually doing things that healthcare workers do every day.
This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
That gives you a little taste of what everything there is to do there. And I'm talking a little taste. They had drone competitions too, so they didn't get into the video. I mean, there's just so much there, but I know our students can do that. So it's great that we can represent. Thank you.
Nice.
Laura, is this competition still parts of it open to the public like it had been?
Yes, it's open to the public on Fridays, and they've got it like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I think it's 2 or 3, because then they have to tally the votes and whatever they're judging. And for the t-shirt and pin competition, that is the most in my 6 years that I've seen that were put in. I'm talking like they had to get somebody to bring 2 more tables. That's how many more they had displays. Because I was like, they just keep bringing them in, and they're just putting them But it's nice, because it's something students can do ahead of time, design it, bring it, and then present about it. But, I mean, I told them next year they need a bigger area for it, because it was just too crowded. Like, if you saw the picture with Hannah by it, she had, like, literally next to her, she had to move them out, so when she would present it, and then moved it closer, because there were just too many of them, so it was awesome. Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 2.2, non-agenda, we have one, Matt Frederick. Matt, you have 3 minutes, and Dr. Scosi will actually let you know when the time's up, okay?
Ding noise.
Yeah.
You want to listen? My name's Matt Frederick. Thank you for hearing me today. I'm a pastor. I'm code enforcement at the city of Mattoon for the last 15 years. Also a business owner, and God has blessed me with a business that has grown far beyond my expectations. And why I tell you that is to tell you that God also blessed a kid from Grant Park, which is where I came from, which we all know is not the best area to go to Mattoon schools, because Mattoon schools are a large part of my success, and I really appreciate the education I got. And in fact, was so strong a belief in that, we moved back from Lerna just to get our children in Mattoon schools as well. When companies come in my role at the city, I always tell them, you're not going to find a better school system. I truly believe that. I've seen private schools that aren't as good as ours. Having said that, I believe we have the benefit of hindsight with some of the shootings we've seen. I know it's kind of a hot button topic because it happened recently, but it keeps happening. And I'm a gun owner myself. My father is a FFL gun dealer. I've been around firearms my entire life. And I can tell you that we have a gun problem in America. We absolutely have a gun problem. I mean, we can sit and argue it, but we do. I do not trust the federal government to fix this problem. I don't know if any law specifically will fix this problem. What I'm here to talk to you about, my strong belief is we do have the benefit of hindsight. I would very much like to see a consideration for one entrance at the high school and junior high in the mornings and metal detectors. I'd also really like to see you consider having a uniformed police officer, or if we can't find police officers, let's hire some security people. Uniformed security person, one at each school. I think now we currently share 2 officers for 4 schools. In my opinion, this is as blessed as I am for going to this group of schools. This is a large school system. It has a robust budget. And I think that you guys should be able to find the funds to do this, whether they're grants or not. I think the response time from one school to the other with an officer is a time that unfortunately could cost a life. And I also would go so far as to suggest that the security personnel have access to an assault rifle that is locked up and put away out of sight. No one knows it's there until it's needed, because if you're going to ask a police officer to go up against an AR-15 with a 9mm, I don't care if it's an untrained kid with a 9mm or with an AR-15, he's going to lose. And so, that said, I would like you to really seriously consider hiring 2 more security officers, 1 for each school, and consider metal detectors at the entrances. And one last thing I want to say, I've heard the argument before, I've seen it on the forums. If we put metal detectors in, our kids are going to school and prisons, and we're no better than, listen, I just came back from Washington, D.C. Now, I know it's the capital, but here's the thing. Every mall we went to, every museum I went to, anywhere there were more than a few hundred people, all right, had these metal detectors and TSA-style security, full of young people, no one batted an eye. They put their stuff in. I just think we're not used to it. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to their health mentally to put these in. In fact, I think it'd be a benefit to people to feel more comfortable with our system. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, number 3, consent agenda board action for 3.1 approval of minutes, 3.1A regular board meeting, May 10th, 2022, 3.2 financial payment of bills, 3.2A presentation of the bills for approval, 3.2B monthly financial reports by fund, 3.2C FYI 21 budget general actual report, 3.3 approval of enrollment report, 3.4 approval of resolution paying utilities from the operations and maintenance fund of fiscal year 2023, 3.5 approval of a resolution regarding corporate personnel property replacement tax distribution for fiscal year 2023, and 3.6 approval of Freedom of Information report. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Ashley, second by Erica. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Overton? Yes. Braun?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes. Okay, yes.
I was gonna ask it before you went into the consent agenda. I had a phone call on the way here asking, I can't remember her last name, Phyllis.
Milo.
Milo. So somebody asked, what's the process from the board if they want to do a dedication of a bench or something? And she said, can you please ask if the board meeting tonight? I said, well, sure, I don't know what our process is. Do you know?
Sure, so it's outlined in board policy. I don't exactly recall where that is outlined, but we've done that before. So, yeah, if you could share either that contact information with one of our team, we'd be happy to reach out and touch base with you.
She was told it was gonna be like it would be a board agenda. So
Oh,
I
no.
looked through it and I was like, I don't see anything. I'll just ask if it's.
Stuff like that never come to the board. It goes to the individual
Great.
buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Number 4.1, board action to renew food service agreement with Airmark for the 2022-23 school year. Mr. Tom.
Yeah, this is the fourth year of the 5-year agreement, renewal process that ISB has established for food service agreements. We're in year 4 of that 5-year process. This particular agreement has a little bit less than an 8% increase from the past year. Last year, you might remember, it was about 3.9%. The biggest reason for that I'll get into in a little bit, has to do with the minimum wage law that increased. But that 8% increase is set by ISB for the CPI, food away from home index, and that's done December to December, and by law it cannot go any more than that. So this is pretty much a static number that is given to Airmark, and then Airmark passes that along to us. Like I said, the main reason for this, the higher increase, is due to the minimum wage going up, that requirement by law. And Megan and Molly are here. We have excellent relationships with Airmark. Has always done a great service for us. Food's really good. They're really good when, especially when COVID was going on, about coming up with ideas and strategies to get the food out and prepare the food, and on and on and on. And Tim and I just kind of got to hear about it after the ladies got it figured out. So we want to thank them for that. But our recommendation is to go into the next year with Airmark for the 22-23 school year.
Need a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Susie, second
Second.
by Ashley. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Braun?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Overton? Yes.
Okay.
Just a quick aside from this before we go on to 4.2. Both Megan Nunn and Molly have been helpful in regards to, as you may recall, back in 2020, the board approved the community eligibility provision, which provided meals at no charge to all of our students. A part of that is due to a criteria that is met at the federal level. So we continue to offer that CEP provision to allow our students to eat meals at no charge. So this 8% increase, while high, I think we can all complain about inflation, but that's a big part of what's going into this number. But what will help to offset this will be the revenue in which we will receive for the increase that we'll see in the USDA reimbursable rate. So I just want to point that out, that while it's an 8% increase in the cost of this, we are also going to see an increase in the revenue that we would get from the reimbursement rate from USDA.
And I want to ask them, this coming school year, will we offer lunches for all God's children?
Yes, so
Yeah.
that was a 5-year,
Yeah.
I believe a 5-year
Right.
plan that was written in order for us to continue to be able to do that. So that'll come up in a few years.
And
which we'll have
a plug for the summer is going on, will be going on this summer as well. So for anybody, for any child, 0 to 18. So, school's not in session, but if you need breakfast, need lunch, we put some stuff out on Facebook and on our website that students can go to get that. So not only during the school year, but around the time, around the calendar, so.
I think I'll share that on my Facebook.
Yeah.
Remind me, do they have to go to the school?
There's different sites.
Okay.
So,
couldn't
I don't know
exactly the
If
sites.
you guys want to give it a plug, go ahead.
Yeah, the elementaries and then the middle school and high school.
Okay.
And they posted it on the Mattoon Facebook, but I can also share with your guys' emails as well, what the post was, so you have the time.
Good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, there's a certain window of time, and I believe it has to be eaten at the
It
site.
does have to.
It does.
That's a little bit
Oh.
different than in years past.
Right, I heard that on the radio about the Salvation Army this year because
Correct.
Yeah.
it's gotten better with COVID, it has to
Right.
be eaten.
Yeah, so that's one of the changes, but still, it's a free meal, so. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Have kids come? Have they come yet?
Not from the community.
Yeah.
Like, I have employees who have their children come to school so that I have people working in the kitchens, they sit in the cafeterias, and those kids eat, but we're mostly and that just released last
Yeah.
Thursday or Friday, so we haven't seen a difference to that yet.
We'll share it on our pages, so that way maybe it'll reach more.
It's hard to get people to come,
I imagine.
Great for any local daycares though.
yes.
Yeah.
Bring all that
Or
kids.
grandma.
Yeah, grandma, grandpa.
Cool.
Anything else for Eric or about that? All right,
Okay,
moving on.
4.2, board action to approve property, casualty, school board, legal, workers' compensation, and other commercial insurance policies.
Now, this is everything other than health, I guess, and we've worked with Diamond Brothers, our local insurance representative, and they've sought out the best coverage possible. They've done this, I'll go over all the different ones that they sent this to. The bottom line is that we're recommending that the district renew with Illinois County's Risk Management Trust and its ICRMT that we've used. We've used them in the past. They've been very helpful with us, especially the incident that happened several years ago. But we're recommending that we go with them in 22-23. The total cost is $462,407. That's an increase of $101,000, a little bit extra from last year's amount. The majority of that, the $80,000, is in the form of increased workers' comp. That's the lion's share of the $100 and some thousand that went up because of some premiums that we've had for that. Moving on, it also includes cybersecurity coverage. We've had this all along, but it's increased even more given the way everything is in the world. We've increased that coverage. We've increased the safety protocols that go with that. And we were able to save about $10,000 in premiums on that coverage because of what Diamond Brothers did in aggressively pursuing this piece. Like I said, we're looking to go with ICRMT, but they also bid it out to United Heartland, Liberty Mutual, Illinois Public Risk Fund, and Zenith Insurance, and EMC. Some of the advantages with ICRMT, they only do governmental bodies, so we're in their wheelhouse. Everything that we do, they're associated with that. They started specializing with schools and governmental bodies in 1983, and risk management services, they provide opportunities for us to learn online, as well as coming in-house in person to provide the training. So the bottom line is we recommend to renew with ICRMT for the 2022-23 school year.
Need a motion, please?
Motion.
By Ashley, second.
Second.
By Susie,
Yes.
discussion?
Tom, so where are they actually located at this ICRT? Are
I
they
want to say it's Bloomington.
Bloomington?
I may be wrong on that, but I think it's Bloomington.
But like I said, they will come here?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We've used them in the past for different things, and they're very responsive.
Thank you.
And what's the plan now to cover?
Just within our budget, yeah, just in the normal budget of things.
Yeah, back to Ashley's question in regards to will they come here? So this is basically the carrier, right? Of the insurance, whereas Diamond Brothers, who is local, they would send out representatives if we had an emergency here that needed to come and assess just the situation. And obviously sometimes if ICMRT wants to send out an adjuster, that would come from somewhere else. But to your point, I think the responsiveness, if we needed somebody here, would likely come through Diamond Brothers first, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Question.
The trust, does it operate with any other governmental entities? I don't mean like in terms of the coverage.
Yeah, they work with other school districts, other county governments, city governments.
But, so, let me see if I can, not in terms of covering or providing the same service to other entities. So, is the trust a standalone, or is that trust operated under any state agencies?
No.
Okay.
I don't, not to my knowledge, it's not.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Weaver,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Kepley,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
4.3, board action to sell grant party school.
Yeah. The April board meeting, if you remember, the school board gave me permission to authorize the sale of this and put out a bid notice with a minimum acceptable bid of $15,000. On June 6th, Monday, we had a sealed bid opening for the sale of Grant Park located at 100 Moultrie. We received one bid from Washington Savings Land Trust for $15,100. That was presented by Kirk Swenson. The district will be working with Bob Gerson from Craig & Craig. He does all of our real estate type of transactions to work on the close of the sale. Since it's a sale of property, it needs a super majority of 5 people. And since you 5 are it, we need a unanimous 5-0 vote to sell the property. So we recommend on selling the property.
Motion.
Please.
Motion.
By Susan. Second by Erica. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Weaver,
Yes.
Larson, Kepley,
Yes.
Overton, yes, Braun,
Yes. There you go.
Thank you.
Super majority.
Okay. 5.1, board action personnel report from Mexican Community School District 2. Dr. Stokes.
Thank you. Board head before the human personnel report. We have some classified resignations. Jessica Hale, Mexican High School English teacher, effective immediately. Heidi House, resigned Mexican School 8th grade teacher, effective immediately. And then Lindsay Walk, Mexican School 8th grade ELA teacher, effective immediately. So as we move down and through some certified appointments, Jill Graviak, we're excited about her. She's a longtime paraprofessional district, and we're hiring her as a Williams Elementary School 3rd grade teacher, effective for the 22-23 school year. Ryan Henshin, looking as a Mexican High School social science teacher, effective for the 22-23 school year. Douglas Peterson, Major Peterson, he was our OTC instructor. He's going back to do some medical work and get a medical degree, and he's going to come back and substitute teach for us. So that's a great win for our students as well, 22-23 school year. Classified resignations, as you go through, you'll see we have some paraprofessionals as this continues, and you'll see why there's a lot of movement with paraprofessionals throughout the district. You'll see them hiring some other positions, but you see a gaggle of paraprofessionals resigning as supervisors at different buildings. One to note as well, Mary Beth Pullen, my current Assistant Superintendent Human Resources Secretary, resigning effective July 1, 2022. We're going to miss Mary Beth, but she's got a wonderful opportunity with the ROE and is going to do a great opportunity there, and she'll be shortly missed here. That should be close. And you can see we have resigning the School Supervisor Danielle Sanders. Classified appointments: Philip Anderson, Matthew Middle School paraprofessional. Bobby Bollinger, Williams Elementary School paraprofessional, elementary school year. Rita Baxton, elementary school supervisor at Little. Ashley Boone, Matthew Middle School 12 months secretary, effective immediately. Continuing down, classified appointments: Terry Boyer is a Transportation Service Center Bus 8, effective for the 22-23 school year. Kevin Cornwell as Matthew High School paraprofessional, effective 22-23 school year. Timothy Doran, Matthew Middle School paraprofessional, effective for the 22-23 school year. Angela Green, Transportation Service Center Bus 8, effective for the 22-23 school year. Myron McKibben, Williams paraprofessional, effective 22-23 school year. Anna Miller, school supervisor at Williams, 22-23 school year. Avery Pierce, Matthew Middle School paraprofessional. Amanda Renee Franklin, preschool paraprofessional, effective 22-23 school year. Again, continuing with classified appointments. Stoner, Transportation Center Bus driver, that's a win. Effective 22-23 school year. Anthony Maya, substitute custodian, effective immediately. Jared Smith, substitute paraprofessional, effective immediately. Daniel Stenhouse, again, substitute supervisor, effective for the 22-23 school year, and Melissa Price, volunteer, effective immediately. Extracurricular resignations, Rachel Irvin, Matthew High School girls assistant tennis coach, effective immediately, and Phoenix Rico, resigns Matthew Middle School 6th grade track coach. Some assignments, Aaron Black, Matthew High School team massive sponsor, effective for the 22-23 school year. Matt Carpenter, Matthew High School assistant football coach. That's a little different than what you saw originally. It was Penn assistant. That's not correct. Assistant football coach, effective for the 22-23 school year. So I'll make that note and present to you. Mine Fairchild, Matthew High School team massive sponsor, effective for the 22-23 school year. Jimmy Morton, Matthew High School assistant girls golf coach, effective for the 22-23 school year. Jacob Perry, Matthew High School alum, graduate, Matthew High School assistant cross-country coach, effective for the 22-23 school year. And lastly, Lindsay Woods, Matthew High School assistant girls tennis coach, effective for the 22-23 school year. And as always, seems to be the case, some addendums as we're moving through. 2 appointments today, recommendations. Shelby Hellman as a Matthew Middle School ELA teacher, effective for the 22-23 school year. Melissa Wheeler, Matthew Middle School ELA teacher, effective for the 22-23 school year. And then classified appointments as we move down here. Matthew Middle School custodian, effective immediately, Andrew Hensley. Kennedy Holman, Matt Williams Elementary School paraprofessional, effective for the 22-23 school year. Mary Resro, said that right, Williams Elementary School parapro, effective 22-23 school year. Danielle Jordan, Administrative Service Center Technology Confidential Executive Secretary, so tech. Karen Moran's position, we passed on recommended for hire there, effective July 1, 2022. Amanda Williamson, Matthew High School paraprofessional, effective 22-23 school year. Katie Williamson, first degree paraprofessional with disability for the 22-23 school year. Again, continuing, Emily Kerman, volunteer, effective immediately. And then extracurricular resignations, Kate Black resigns, Matthew Middle School assistant boys baseball coach, effective immediately. Then extracurricular assignments, Jared Kiger, Matthew High School assistant head varsity football coach, effective for the 22-23. Are there any questions?
Come up for air.
Is the gaggle less or more than fluffer?
I'm gonna say less. Fluffer is a big power word there, Aaron. But great question. Are there any questions? See none, then I would recommend personnel report as presented.
Motion, please. Motion by Erica, second by Ashley. Questions? Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
Overton,
Yes.
Braun,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Okay, going to number 7, reports and recommendations, Superintendent 7.1, the board presentation of the Coles Wind project. Mr. Hartke and.
I am not the right.
Yes.
No, I was gonna say.
We have a switch up.
Before
Juliana.
Okay, Juliana.
Dave had to go to Coles County Board tonight, so hopefully Juliana was in town.
Let's go.
All right, good evening. Thank y'all for having us. I'm Juliana, the development manager with Apex Clean Energy, and Josh Hartke here as well, our public engagement manager. We're going to do a quick presentation for y'all because we want to save some time for questions or an answer. But we're going to be talking about the Coles Wind project here in the county. So we just went through that. We do have a local office here in just north of Charleston. So just in the old train depot. And we have several other local members in case y'all might have run across some of our team members. But we also have Max Brixio and Dave Rice who wasn't able to join us. So a little bit about Apex, we wanted to give y'all an overview. We are based in Charlottesville, Virginia. I was headquartered there, but have recently moved, but we were founded in 2009. We are a renewable energy utility scale developer. We have developed originally wind farms as our initial model of a company. We have transitioned to solar development as well as utility scale development. Josh is based here in Illinois as well. So a little bit about our company. We develop projects, but we also construct and build, as well as we own and maintain and operate our projects. So we have a wide portfolio of projects, and primarily we have about 15 projects here in the state of Illinois that we're either developing, constructing, or have already built. Next slide. So we do emphasize a local impact with any development project or any construction. So we have several projects that we're enjoying from a public engagement standpoint. We do grant programs. We have about $5,000 every quarter that we offer to any community member during the development. We also like to do presentations such as this. We sponsor and we have something to share with you all at the end with some scholarships that we're providing as well. So along with our local office, we really like to get integrated in the community before we build a project because our projects are about 30 years. So we will be a part of the community for a long time. So I was talking a little bit about the 15 projects that we have here in the state of Illinois. So some of those are wind, some are solar, and we are looking at battery storage. That's a new development for our company as of last year. But I wanted to point to, we're providing a little over $19 million in landowner payments each year. So that's through the conglomeration of all our different projects. And a little bit about Coles Wind. So we're primarily situated on the northern part of the county. There's that new Ameren 345 kV line that runs west to east. So that is one aspect that we look at as an attribute for a project as well as a strong wind resource. But the Coles Wind project will be operational in 2025 is what we're anticipating. So sometimes these projects take about 5 to 6 years to develop. So we're about 2 years in now. We started in 2020. And we talked about, it's also a 300 megawatt project. So that is the size and scale that we're looking at. And I just wanted to highlight this map so you can see kind of in the northern part of the county there, strong wind resource. So between the transmission line and the wind resource, those are some key attributes that we look for. And Josh is going to take it from here.
Yeah, so I brought some copies with me that I'm happy to share with you guys if you'd like. I think Superintendent Condren has already shared it with you digitally. For each one of our projects, we do an economic impact study. The methodology has been put together by Dr. David Loomis, who is an economics professor at Illinois State University up in Bloomington. He basically has been doing it for 25 years and uses models and predictions to kind of go through what the economic benefits of each project that we do is going to be. You can go ahead to the next one. So in the state of Illinois, each wind project has a set value per megawatt. In 2007, that was set at $360,000. That increases with CPI or a trending factor every year. Right now, that's averaging around $500,000, almost $500,000 per megawatt. That is what becomes your EAV, which is basically your assessed value for any kind of new property within the county. And then that's what translates to what your tax benefits are on these projects. If you look here, this number is $81 million are estimated over the 30-year lifespan of the project to go into all the taxing bodies within Coles County who can tap into property taxes, almost $40 million just in the first 10 years. That goes to schools, county and township, fire and rescue, library, Lakeland College and groups like that. For you guys, so what we do when we do this estimate is we look at where our area of interest is, and then just basically divvy that up as to where your border is, and that percentage of our estimate becomes what we estimate is yours. This final number will actually be dependent on where turbines are located, whether they're in your school district or Charleston School District or even Oakland School District. But right now we're looking at the way the project is bearing out, and because of the property owners who are participating, around $350,000 in the first year, and over the 30 years, about $7.6 million in tax revenue that you guys can capture as a taxing body with authority to take new revenue. And then this last note I like to throw in, because I grew up, went to Dietrich High School down by Effingham, and so I was in Lakeland College District, and we did a lot of stuff in high school there. So we're hoping to bring around $6 million in revenue for Lakeland College over that time. And I know how many of your students go there as well, so I know that's important. And this is just kind of a little more general look at it. So we look at around 300 jobs during construction. Those are going to be locally hired, for the vast majority union jobs because of the Illinois law, the way it works around development. We would use that and then sign a PLA, and those would be like local unions that would be providing the construction work on it. Those 300 jobs would last roughly a year to 18 months that we're in construction. we talk here about community earnings, but this is an important one here. It's $1.8 million in annual payment. Those are basically our payments to landowners who lived in the project that are participating. And that's basically money to the parents of your students, which, as you know, that never hurts a school to have parents with a little more money to spend. And then a few other community benefits, as Juliana alluded to, we do a community grant program. I did have a letter here because the Mattoon High School, what was it, the Children's Assistance Fund received one of these grants from us. It was a thank you letter from your social workers. We were very appreciative of that. We give out $5,000 every quarter, and it's really, schools are some of our top awardees because we can fund everything from learning experiences to economic development ideas to we funded things like equipment for school, for playgrounds and things like that. So it's very diverse. If you go to coleswind.com/grant, it's very easy to apply there. I'm happy to share that with folks later at any time. And then one other thing I'd like to talk about is we do project visit opportunities. So basically, we're already in negotiation time with Lakeland College about doing this once the project's complete. We can do job shadowing, internships, site visits for the folks in their wind turbine construction program or maintenance program, and then they get experiences on the job site. And we want to open that up to high school students as well, because if every project that I'm working on in Illinois gets built, we're going to have to hire around 150 wind techs in the next 5 years, and we need folks that are in high school knowing that that's available as a job opportunity that can then go through Lakeland, through ISU, and get further accreditation so they can work for our projects. Because we really like to hire these 12 jobs that are going to be folks living in the project, working on the project in the area, because we want folks that live in the project or close by. And those 12 long-term jobs are projected. That's everything from an office manager at the O&M facility up through the actual wind turbine techs who'll be out there working on them. And we like to talk about our logo contest. So we finally got everything moved forward on that. And if you'd like to vote, it is open for voting at coleswind.com/logo contest. These were all designed by Coles County high school and junior high students. And then we kind of took their designs and applied them to what our general branding is. Each one was designed by a student. And there's a $5,000 scholarship on the line for the winner event. So,
Cool.
And then $2,000 for the two runners up as well. So, and that can be applied towards an art school, towards a university or college of their choice. We're doing that through the Southeastern Illinois Foundation.
We had I think over 300 votes, so get your votes
Yes, it's a winnable contest, yeah.
And that was primarily
That's
it for
us.
the presentation, so I think we're gonna keep it quick for now. But we're happy to answer
Any
questions.
questions?
What's the deadline on the voting?
June 30th.
And I am unaware, really, I didn't understand your map, like the dotted lines.
Sure. So I can describe to you, it's basically east of I-57.
East of 57.
East of 57 and north of Charleston, that corner of the county.
That's where you're focused.
That's where we're focusing, that's where we're signing land. As you can see, we're not gonna get up towards the Oakland area, but it's really this kind of area between 57 and towards Ashmore over here. Or Ashmore. Ashmore,
Right. Okay.
So Josh and Juliana, appreciate your information around, sharing some of this in regards to the, I guess, potential financial impact of this. Our board does not have any action on this at all, correct?
No.
And this is left for whom to take action on?
This is subject to the county board, so it's a permit process through the county.
Yeah.
So your roles have been to go to public entities and inform them of what potentially could come to those entities that could stand to gain financial revenue. Is that?
That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay. So one question I do have, and I think you provided some information from Max Loomis on this, is around the PTEL perspective.
Yeah, sure.
And I think we especially Mr. Sherman and our administrative team will need to know is, how does that impact over the longevity of the 30-year depreciation of this? So I guess question being, does this impact the PTEL portion that can be collected since we are tax capped as a county and have been since 2001, Tom, is that correct? 2003. What does that then, I guess, turn into, because there's only so much we can collect up to CPI or 5%, whichever is less.
So one thing that it's set in Illinois statute, especially in their statute that determines the per megawatt value, it talks about this as what's called new property. So it is new property within your jurisdiction, so it increases what your EAV is. So if you as a board choose to capture that as new revenue, which is your choice, that does become new revenue for you.
In year one.
In year one, and that can start at what we call COD, the day of operation. So the day that they're putting electricity on the grid, say if that's July 1, you would get that half year from July through December, and that would then come in the next year's receipts. All collected through, as you will know, through your county treasurer. In Illinois, because you are tax capped, you do have a choice as a school board who has taxing authority. You can choose to, rather than capture that as new revenue, you can lower the taxes on everybody else and just have basically ours spread out, so our tax bill spread out so that everybody else's taxes go down. That would keep your revenue neutral. And our projections are assuming you capture all of that as new property revenue. But that is your choice.
And it looks from the information that you've shared with our board that while we receive about 7.6 million, our friends to the east receive about 30 million, correct? And I assume that's based upon the location?
Yes, it's where the turbines end up. And like I say, that's an estimate figured on where that blob that we kind of showed you, how much of that is in Mattoon School District, how much is in Charleston School District. And where it really comes out is landowner participation. So where are the landowners who want these projects, who want these turbines? Where do they live? Do they live in your school district? Do they end up in Charleston School District? Some of them have both, as we well know. But so that's where it's determined. And because we're trying to stay east of I-57, that kind of does cut a lot of your school district out, no doubt. But I certainly serve on the Champaign County Board, and we never blinked at $300,000 a year in additional revenue. So I'm sure it's a good opportunity. And like I say, there are other things as well that come in, because we do have those payments to the landowners in the district that do then trickle their way in other ways, as well as the job opportunities.
Thank you.
I have a question. Based off of the placement of the wind turbines, if a certain section aren't running, is that revenue collected as a whole, or is it collected as which ones are operational at the time?
No, that's a really good question. So what that EAV is determined by is what they call the nameplate value. So that's its max rated. So if it's a 6.1 maximum turbine, it will always be rated at that 6.1. If the thing's turned off, if it's only turning at half speed, we're still paying tax rate at the 6.1.
Okay.
Please.
Hold on. We need to go ahead with the meeting first, and then if you guys don't mind sticking around, and Mr. Frederick could ask you your question, maybe you can answer it then.
Absolutely.
Please.
No,
Thank
absolutely. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Is there any other questions from the board here on this?
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate your time.
Okay, 7.2, board update on Mattoon High School construction and discussion of facility naming rights.
I'll just over here real quick. And kind of give the board an update on where things sit at the high school. As the board recalls, this year there were multiple approvals and board action to move forward with the high school construction. A large portion of that is on the exterior, as those of you that have had the opportunity to drive by, you've seen those updates occurring starting back in August. So here's a quick aerial view of what you're seeing, I guess, in a lot of areas being impacted in construction. If they aren't currently, they have been touched or will be touched. And I'll introduce Dustin. Dustin, our facilities building and grounds director. You can see here with the stars indicating all of those areas that are under construction. And Dustin, you want to share a little bit about your perspective with this, as you've been kind of leading that process with the project manager from Vernon Jones.
Yeah, as you can see, we're touching a lot. So it's pretty significant work going on there. I'd say the star that kind of highlights the most for me at this point in time, and it's not the prettiest star, but would be the one where the retainage pond is. That really saved a lot of water issues in April. We had enough rain in April that we would have had the basement flood that holds the ROTC, and that did its job. It held the water, it moved it through by about 4 or 5 hours. It was pretty much back to empty. So it did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, even to the point, I think there was some watershed coming from the south, is that correct, off those fields?
That is correct. They
took
come,
water.
yeah, we had picked up some of that, and then, I mean, it took all the field water, all the water from around the building, and even collected a little that was unexpected from the fields.
So I think while Dustin's bringing up a good point here, it's not necessarily the prettiest of updates. I think it's been one of those that's been essential and been helpful for us to maintain from receiving additional flooding in that JROTC room area. So just some other quick photos. As you can see, the tennis courts have recently been completed. We had a nice social post out there by Callie, our communications specialist, in regards to our high school current and former coaches playing their first game on the tennis court. Obviously, this is not the most recent. There's going to be some updated pictures in here as well of the track being painted that you can see there in the far left, the discus ring, to the shot put rings in the middle, to the track, as well as the football field. And as you work your way to the right, the bleachers, the press box, the current sports center, and then the renovations occurring to the future sports center. So here's a shot looking down with the track painted, recently lined as of today. So it's starting to come together. Sorry, didn't mean to jump through that. Dustin, anything you want to add in regards to updates with these fields or the retention areas here?
They're gonna seed them tomorrow. They did a lot more work on the ground today, so they should be seeding the retention ponds tomorrow. The track is probably gonna be completed tomorrow with the striping, maybe by mid-afternoon. After that, the fields are pretty well ready to go.
Yeah, so Dustin brings up a good point about the seeding of the retention ponds. There's been some questions around that from our neighbors there to the south. There was a lot of dirt excavation occurring in order to provide that basin for watershed to go to in the event of back in April, as Dustin was mentioning about that 4-inch rain that we received. So now that topsoil is being moved back in there, so maintenance can continue to mow those areas. So again, they're supposed to be dry. Anywhere from 85 to 90% of the time, or so we're told. So we're hopeful to see that, in the upcoming months. Good overview shot of the baseball, the infield, the turf infield, and the warning track, which is now grass. Moving inside, Dustin, Tom, you guys want to share anything in regards to what we're looking at here?
Yeah, we're first off, we're ahead of schedule there. So that is going to be the, well, I call it industrial arts wood shop.
400 wing.
Yeah, in the 400 wing. And we cut some doors and windows through to where it can go through to the, well, what's it called? The ag class. And that way he has access to both rooms. But due to the rain that we were discussing that was in April and in May, they were able to move from the other project into here and get ahead of schedule by 2 or 3 weeks, I think. So that should be wrapping up in plenty of time for school.
Here's another picture that's just facing to the west. As you can see, a lot of ductwork going in for dust collection and HVAC in the woodshop area. Here you can see the press boxes came up at our last board meeting. Some questions around the press box. This was actually installed on May 26th. And you can see the crane there. And Tom, I believe this was the largest press box that we were able to secure without some additional ADA.
Right, there would have been some other issues and ADA requirements that would have added a significant amount of cost to it, so.
So it's is it 50 feet by 10 feet? Is that
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
So just kind of looking at that, we had some, both our current and future athletic directors go and tour the press box in DeKalb and in Morris, where this was the same construction company out of Texas. And actually, I think it went into production in October.
Right.
It's an all aluminum construction. And for those of you that recall our press boxes previously, we had the fortunate opportunity to have two stacked, just from history with that. The school district in the late 90s covered the cost of the foundation and the restrooms underneath, and the Booster Club at the time then constructed the upper two tiers. Over time, it's been difficult to maintain, and there were some health life safety issues that have come up with that project, with that area, with holes in actually in the second and third floors due to water penetration. So the idea here is hopefully we won't have those issues in the future with all aluminum construction. So just another shot from across the football field to show you kind of what we're looking at. And those bleachers now sit between the two light poles. So instead of having two separate sections of bleachers, they're all connected.
Oh, that's neat.
What about the chain fence up on the top?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that is called the crow's nest for coaches
Okay, so they can't get up there.
Yeah, so there's an access in the top portion here. This right side over here, I think these three windows are secured. This hasn't been determined yet, but either for home or for away coaches. So these three windows here, these three windows on the left-hand side would be either the home or the away.
Okay.
And then these windows in the middle, these 6 windows here in the middle would be left for our public announcer as well as radio. So
Okay, so people can't rent any
No.
of this year,
No.
okay.
And that was that was a conversation back with the Booster Club well over a year ago, and they were appreciative that it's going to no longer be on their I guess perspective to how to maintain, but we are working with them in order to secure some additional revenue for them in lack of not having those boxes to be able to rent out. So here is the current removal of the current sports center, I guess. It's a little bit less as of this afternoon if you had the chance to drive by. But basically the skeleton of that building is still there, but it will be removed and that concrete will be removed and that will be that green space with that memorial area that the board has seen previously. Here's the addition to the old wood shop, which will become the new sports center. And you're seeing the maintenance bays right here, trusses going up above the locker room. And then this will become the weight room, wrestling area that students will be able to utilize in the future, which we've got some updated interior rendering. So this is just a shot looking across there. As you can see those trusses above those locker rooms on the south side. And looking at some of the interior as well as the north elevation, looking across the football practice field. So here's the exciting part, the interior renderings that will show the opportunity for kids to enhance their strength skills, as well as some TVs that are mounted along the higher elevation. And then this area will be utilized, the open space you see down here at the bottom of this photo will be utilized for the wrestling mats during season, can be doubled for dance practice as well. So we like the flexibility of this space in the future. And then you can see here, kind of looking across the other way, one of my first questions to the architect was, why are we now red green wave over here? And that's a little bit of a software issue. So I asked them to share what that would look like.
Okay.
And here's what it will look like in the future with that padding along the north wall. And then here's the south elevation rendering of what it would look like when it's complete. As you can see there's our new scoreboard, and this is something that recently has come up with the updates at the high school. And this is becoming more prevalent with school districts across the state and across the country. So we've been approached about the possibility of sponsorship opportunities, and just informally at this point. And so I'd like to walk the board through the process in which there's no action on this, but we'd like to walk the board through the process in which we could entertain the sponsorship opportunities or naming rights if we so desire. So most recently, and I guess closest to us, Effingham High School has done so with a benefactor that is sharing to assist in a large portion of the cost. I think it's about 25% of their total cost of their new football field scoreboard installation. So what we see this as a potential opportunity to assist our athletic programs and invest for future repairs. And what we mean by that is probably 12 to 13 years, the district and the board are going to need to consider the replacement of that turf on all of those fields, if not sooner, depending upon what that looks like. And you'll recall that was brought up back in actually last June when the project manager from Vernon Jones was here, as well as the sales representative. So they shared the sustainability of those services. So looking at the naming rights board policy, currently the board has policy 4.150, which is titled Facility Management and Building Programs, that outline the process. So it allows for the board president to appoint a special committee. The committee then can consider naming nominations and make recommendations, and the committee will provide supporting rationale to the board, and the board will make that final selection at a future board meeting if they so choose. So what do the next steps look like? Tonight's the first step in that possibility of if this is something that we wish to continue to look into. No action at this time, but the committee will then need to be appointed by the board president. Then the committee will meet to discuss the terms and conditions of what that agreement would look like, the duration of that agreement, the donation amount of that agreement, the areas to potentially be named, and then identifying the potential benefactors and communicating that it must align to the district goals and mission. So, for example, we would not want potentially a benefactor that would not align with the district's focus and mission and goals. So what that means for our administrative team and district officials would be working with our school attorney to develop the naming rights agreement and then present a recommendation to the board based upon that recommendation from the committee. And then the board would take that final action by formally doing so with approval of an agreement and approval of a board resolution.
So, I'm sorry, if I'm not mistaken, this Trick Duckett, our future gentleman's going to be over the athletic director position, has kind of brought this and kind of wanted to look at this as well. Is that correct?
He's been approached by two individuals that work for entities that are interested in this possibility. And again, I think what's made this more recent is as I mentioned, was the fact that Effingham, 30 miles away, has recently done so.
I have a question.
Yes.
Naming rights for the entire complex?
That's
what
I think the committee would be determining. That would be my recommendation. And so to give some context to that, Effingham was just the stadium. So they maintained their field name. I think it's Clusterman Field, is that right? So they maintained the field name, which that would not be something, I think that I would discuss that with the committee. That would not be something that we would entertain as changing Gaines Field.
Yeah.
We would want to maintain that name. But the potential of naming the stadium, another option, or I guess informally has been asked, is could we name the basketball court? at the high school. So those are two options that have been, I guess, just discussed with Mr. Duckett.
Okay, well, it's kind of up in the air.
It is. I mean, and again, this is just the initial stages. So that's why I wanted to share with the board that, I think it is probably worth exploring, and whether or not the board wishes to move forward with this or not, I think those would be the questions that, this committee would need to at least formally
And when
answer.
Michelle appoints a committee, that's not just the board, right? I mean, that's the community.
So the committee would also include community members. It would just be the board or the administrative team or employees.
So tonight, are you, I know there's no action, but are you wanting board members to reach out to you and let you know how they feel on it, or what do you need from?
Well, I think at this point, what I'd like to suggest is that the board president then appoint a committee, and then we bring that back, the recommendations of those committees, and then the board would then either take formal action in favor of or ask questions and charge that committee to answer those questions and then return to the board.
So once a committee has been established, what does that timeline look like? So is it a 3-month process? Is it a 2-month process? Or is that really at the pleasure of the committee as in terms of how long they?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it stems from, what does the committee desire to see named? And if we're limiting it to a stadium and a court, and I'm not suggesting that that's all that is named, but I think that's left to that committee to determine first. That I think would be less of a timeline than if we were adding additional fields or stadiums. So, yeah. Any other questions? That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, 7.3.
Thank you, Steve.
Presentation of board policies for action at July 12th, 2022.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Sorry. I'm trying to move out of this. So the board has shared I don't have that pulled up here, sorry. The board has the access to the board policies, which fortunately are significantly less than previous
Well, I guess.
board policy packets. So each board member has the electronic version. We're happy to give the printed versions if you so request, but you're able to look through the policies that are presented through CREST that, as you know, this board prescribes through the Illinois State Board of the School Board Association. So that's all I have right now. There will be no action on that until the next month. But we encourage you to review those board policies and reach out if you have any questions. That's all I have.
Okay, with no other business, need motion to adjourn at 8:07. We have no executive session, so motion by Erica, second.
Second.
By Ashley.
I have one last thing.
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
don't know if you guys know this, Michelle called me today, and if you want to look at Tim's contract before June 30th, when we vote, you're welcome to, we just set up a meeting with you and Michelle. Is that correct?
I didn't get a meeting request, but yes, that's
No, no,
like a good plan.
No, do they? She
No,
said.
I'm asking you if that's
Is
the
that what they
protocol.
need to do?
So,
Protocol.
because I want to look at the contract before
Sure.
we vote on June 30th, and Michelle called me back. And said,
Sure.
we just set up a meeting with you.
And my guess is you probably won't just want to look at mine, you probably want to look at everybody.
Sure.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, is just look at the contracts.
All right.
And then, if we want to add an agenda item for June 30th, because it's wonky, right? It's like what's the protocol, the policy for that?
Yeah,
meeting?
so you'll recall back, I think it was last May, when we set the protocols up, that any board member can request an agenda item in place, but has to speak with the board president and myself in advance of that. So, yeah, that's the process in which.
But because, so normally it's the Tuesday before the meeting, so is that the same with this one? Even though
Yeah, it's
Okay.
7 days prior to. I'd be happy to reshare that with you.
No, it's fine, I just want to make sure the same thing.
Sure.
And then I just appreciated hearing Dustin tonight, and I would recommend or would like to hear if Larry could come and talk about the lift building. I think that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that a couple of times, and I think I shared an email with the board. Did I share an email with the board, Christie? I think you sent something out with this. On May 25th, I think, is that correct? The email that went out, Heidi, that shared he respectfully declined to present at the board meeting, but then I offered you the opportunity if you wanted to reach out and share, we could set up a time to meet.
Maybe I should provide some context. So the reason I asked for him to come is because there's been public questions on what is his role, what is he doing, and I think it's helpful for people to just be transparent and accountable and have him, he's somebody who's super beloved and respected in the community, to come and talk about what is his contractual role at Lyft.
Sure.
And it's not something we've talked about here, it's not something that he's been part of our
Actually, we
conversation.
did talk about that in executive session in September 21, in which all board members agreed to move forward with that. And that was at a time, I think, Dave, you might remind me, we had an opening or resignation of our district facilities manager at the time.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
But he's been working on it, and it's a big project, and it would be helpful to hear from him, and just as we heard from Dusty tonight, I think that's helpful. I guess I'm just.
yeah, we just purchased the service for his
Yeah,
project.
he's not an employee.
Yeah, he's not an employee of the district.
And if I'm not mistaken, we cannot discuss personnel outside of executive session, is that correct?
Well,
I
correct.
mean,
But I think what she's asking
Right.
is something that she brought up in April.
Okay,
and May.
okay.
Has anyone reached out to you
No.
or to the district about the updates or anything? Have you gotten that from the community?
I have not. So I would welcome if,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
feel free to have them reach out to me. We'd be happy to.
They should be with you. Okay.
And we will have an open house and
Yeah,
all that.
yeah,
fun
it's come
stuff.
along well. Yeah, I think September to align with homecoming week is what the target date is.
Oh, is that
for-
right?
For the open house.
Oh,
So,
that's good to know.
it is. So.
Homecoming is in September?
We have a motion on.
Oh, sorry.
I need a roll call, please, to adjourn.
Weaver,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Kepley,
Yes,
Overton. Yes. Frost.
Yes.
thank you, folks. Yes.
Gary.
Mr. Farrell,
Eight.
maybe before you take off.
Just making sure